Good Sunday morning and welcome to WGN-TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnek. We begin this Sunday morning on Capitol Hill. The Senate is expected to take a vote this week on a deal to send funding to Ukraine in exchange for changes at our borders. But that could be where the bipartisanship ends. Over in the House, Republicans in the majority are still pushing to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. And joining me now is Congresswoman Delia Ramirez. Congresswoman, thanks for your time today. Look, the Senate certainly seems serious about an immigration bill that'll address the current crisis at the border. But House Speaker Mike Johnson, in your world, has issued a statement saying that any such bill is dead on arrival when it comes to the House. Some say the Speaker and Republicans actually have been told by former President Trump to not pass any bill, kill any deal. Can you just shed some light? You're inside, I'm not. What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been conversations and negotiations happening now for a long time. And we would like to be able to see some text negotiated bill that we in the House are voting on that, yes, addresses issues at the border, makes the border secure and safe for asylum seekers and communities, but also that we're talking about addressing the issues and the root cause of migration. You know, I would say to you, you've heard from Speaker Johnson say nothing will be done at the border until Donald Trump becomes president again. So it already shows you that it doesn't matter how much enforcement, how strict the language is that the House votes on or wants to vote on, that Johnson just doesn't want to do anything because it's political theater, chaos, so that they can try to win the election in November and then bring Donald Trump in to then supposedly actually address the issue of the border.
And some congressmen actually have said things along the lines of they don't want to give Biden a win. But here's something interesting that a lot of your Republican colleagues have been saying. They're saying we don't need to pass anything. The truth is President Biden has the power to shut things down and make things happen right now without Congress doing a thing. Is that true?
No. There's a lot of congressional action that is necessary. So let's take, for example, the idea of providing additional resources for cities, you know, like border cities, or for cities like Chicago and New York. The supplemental conversation that's been happening also builds in some of the money that actually Congress needs to authorize that's not available to him to be able to address some of these issues. Secondly, you and I both know that the moment that the president begins to issue executive actions and they'll say he's going out of his purview, that's congressional action. We're in this place where you lose either way. Could the president do a few things? Of course he can, and I'm going to urge him to. But the reality is that it is our responsibility to actually pass legislative action. And when it comes to immigration or even border, they haven't seen anything in a real way, in a way that addresses the issue and actually creates legal pathways in over 30 years.
Well, let me just follow up on that. You said you're going to urge him to do a couple of things you believe he can do. What will that be?
Look, I've said this pretty publicly, and a number of my colleagues have sent out letters. One of the very first things is, how do we help cities like Chicago and how do we help cities like New York and others who have people who, if they had a work permit, so expand work permits, for example, get work permits to the people that are currently in our cities who want to work and desperately are asking for these to be processed in order for them to be able to fill those jobs, generate revenue for the state and the federal government, while also creating more resources. So expanding work permits, he can do that with the sign of the pen. That in itself can bring 8 million people out of the shadow into workforce, address supply chain issues, generate revenue for us, and get people working that don't need assistance and shelter because they're able to generate their own income and they're not waiting for the processing of these work permits.
So it may be that the House isn't ready to take steps in the legislative world, but it's not that they're not doing anything, because they certainly passed out of the Homeland Security Committee this week a couple of articles of impeachment for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. You are the vice-ranking member of that committee. So a couple of things. Number one, what do you think the ramifications are of passing that impeachment bill? Because I don't think much will happen with it in the Senate. But number two, my understanding is you actually, in dealing with it, had a couple of amendments you were trying to make. They just got shut down.
That's right. So, I mean, first of all, they were the longest 15 hours I will never get back of political theater. My colleagues know Attempting to impeach Secretary Mayorkas is going to do nothing to address the border. It's not going to help asylum seekers. It's not going to address issues of drug traffickers or fentanyl, because the impeachment, all it would do, assuming it would pass out of Senate, which I'm crossing fingers that that would never happen. So he's no longer the secretary. The president's responsibility is to appoint someone else that's going to implement the same policies, because in absence of us passing policy, he has to implement whatever's currently available to him, right? Whatever the current policy is on the border, or, in processing people and parole. So first of all, political theater. It was a stunt, and it's dangerous precedent, because then it shows you that they're willing to impeach a secretary they don't agree with because they think it's actually going to poll well for elections. Who is next? Who else are they going to try to impeach, right?
But you did
And the
try to make
truth
some
is-
lemonade out of this with your amendments.
That's right. So I'll say to you, I said to my colleagues, if you actually want to address issues of the border, I have 2 amendments for you. And we can pass those amendments, send them to the House, and you will actually see some real opportunities and solutions to the issues that we talk about. One of those was, well, why are all these 4,000 or 5,000 people coming here the illegal way? They're paying these narco traffickers or human traffickers. So I had a bill that would create legal pathway amendment, and it's called the Smart Border Protection Act. It's actually a bill by Congressman Gabe Vasquez that authorizes funds for the Department of Homeland Security to, one, invest in smart technologies to be able to screen through for fentanyl, provide additional personnel to process people, and also improve the quality of infrastructure at the border while working on legal pathways. The second one was border security amendment. And that other bill was a bill that actually all it did was to update the registry date that hasn't been updated in decades, to allow people that have come in before 7 years, that have been here for 7 years or longer, to be able to finally be able to have a pathway to citizenship.
What happened to those 2 amendments?
The Republicans decided we have the majority, and they literally stopped our amendments from being heard, voted immediately to call the question, is what we say, but basically to start the vote for impeachment without allowing any of the amendments that had substance to be presented and voted on.
What do you say to
That's the
people?
chaos.
What do you say to people who say, now you're in your first term, so this doesn't put it all on you, but people who say, look, the Democrats essentially sat on this for 3 years. Now, of course, it's election year, it's getting real. And so now they're taking these steps, and they can point to Republicans, aha, now they're in the way. But the reality of it is, should the Democrats have accomplished something in their first couple of years, maybe even before you got there, but they could have addressed it?
Look, and I would say, I wasn't here, but a number of my colleagues would say to me, we did, Delia, we tried. We passed the Dream and Promise Act, and we passed other measures that never were taken up by the Senate. In this case, we have the Senate majority, and we are in minority by just a couple of people in the House. But I would say to you what my husband has said to me over and over. The truth is that Democrats and Republicans have failed to act when it comes to immigration policy and legal pathways. And that we now have a responsibility, since so many people are talking about the border, to ask ourselves, why are people crossing at that rate to begin with? What's happening in Venezuela? What's happening in Guatemala? What is our relationship with these countries? Because the reality is, you can do all the enforcements that the Republicans say they want to pass, but they don't actually do anything around. But it's not going to stop women and children from risking everything to get here because they have no other option. We got to talk about those things, but we have to actually be willing to compromise, Paul. There is no compromise. I have colleagues of mine on the Republican side who say, Delia, that's a really good amendment. I wish that I could vote on it, but my leadership said we can't help Democrats.
With just a minute left,
They're not the constituents.
A couple of lightning round questions in the minute we have left. Mayor Johnson, last time you and I talked, Mayor Johnson had asked the Biden administration for $5 billion to help here. Any word on whether we're going to see that kind of money in a federal action?
As we're looking at potential supplemental language that we may be voting on, one of the things that we're going to be looking at closely is how much money is dedicated for the Emergency Shelter and Support Program. The mayor has requested $5 billion. A number of us have come together and signed on letters and requests to the administration that it actually be more like $10 billion, and that cities like Chicago, New York, who are resettlement cities, get their fair share per person versus just one main amount regardless of city. Otherwise, Texas will continue to get the most amount, while cities like Chicago, who are actually providing supports, are getting minimal amounts. So we're hopeful, we're working around the clock, and there is not a day that we don't talk to the administration and keep reminding them we have to get help to cities like Chicago.
Finally, really briefly, the House just passed a $78 billion bipartisan tax bill to help the children tax. Businesses get help. It was bipartisan. Chuck Grassley in the Senate said, I can't do that. That would give people checks in an election year. We can't give Biden the win. Very briefly, is it too late to accomplish anything anymore because it's election year?
It feels that way sometimes, but look, I voted for this tax bill, and I'm really hopeful that they're going to take it up and we're going to pass it. The reality is that it's not a perfect bill, and some are saying we can't give checks. This is your constituents who are in desperate need of resources because the rent is too high, because they can't barely afford childcare and all the other issues. So the reality is that you're not giving checks to people. People pay taxes, and we have to make sure that we're taking care of our people.
Good luck, Congresswoman Delia Ramirez. Thank you for your time today. We'll track you as you go, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks. TV Political Report. We are headed to Springfield as the spring session gets underway. Will the state put more money towards the migrant crisis here? Senate Republican leader John Curran weighs in on that and more when we come back. Stay with us.